Today we're going over the Surprise Legendary and Mythic banner in Fae for January 2025. We'll talk about the 2 new heroes and then briefly go over the 10 other units you can summon on the banner. January's monthly banner has been a real wild card the past couple years. We had for Mortis with Goto, last year the Emblems debuted, and this year our first random pick is Legendary Ayra. After causing, I think still by far the worst scandal in Fae, Ayra got a Harmonic ult a little while back. She's now getting a new Swordmaster Legendary ult. It appears Ayra is finally going to take us past 48 base speed. Due to Dragon Flowers, she won't be the fastest unit in the game, but 49 base speed is breaking a limit the devs have not wanted to surpass for a while. She will sacrifice some attack for higher res. Don't worry though, Ayra's got a lot of other damage dealing methods. For ult skills, she brings Attack and Speed Excel and Emblem Lens Speed Taker. It's been a month and this skill is already getting a second holder. As a reminder, it grants permanent flat speed thanks to great talent. It also offers true damage based on 20% speed, neutralizes speed debuffs, and gives no guard. For her weapon, Ayra has the Sword of Isaac, 16 might, and at start of turn, if unit has more than 25% HP, grant plus 6 attack and speed, a new potent follow-up status, and then the low status to Ayra and allies within 2 spaces. This weapon has accelerated specials. If above 25% health, Ayra gets bonus stats equal to 5 plus 15% of her flat speed. If potent follow X% has been triggered, then X will always be 100%, and Ayra heals 7 HP after combat. She will deal true damage equal to Y times 5 and has flat DR equal to Y times 3. If the foe triggers their special, Ayra gets double the amount of flat DR. For this Y value, it's the number of positive statuses active on Ayra plus the number of negative statuses active on the foe. If Ayra has 5 advantageous statuses, she will get 25 true damage and 15 flat DR. For the new Potent Follow status, this is essentially the exact same potent effect we've been seeing the past year. If decreasing the speed difference necessary to make a follow-up attack by 25 would allow a unit to trigger a follow-up, then you get the Potent Follow X% hit. If the unit cannot make a follow-up and does not have brave attacks, then X is 80%, otherwise X will be 40%. Last year, Emblem Marth gave us Potent Follow-ups and the Potent B skill. This year, Ayra is sharing Potent Follow-ups with all class types. With all the miracle effects recently, a Potent Follow-up might be useful to finish off those annoying units. Besides the team buffs, Ayra will get full 100% damage potent hits. No specials required, it's a guarantee. To power up, Ayra wants statuses in favor of her team. She has 2 from this weapon and gets a 3rd from her C skill. Try to find 2 more for tons of true damage and flat DR. With the Excel type flat DR and the actual Excel A skill, Ayra is going to be fairly annoying. A special hit will possibly lose out on like 30 to 40 damage, and then it's not even including the percent damage reduction Ayra's going to get. Supreme Astra was pretty neat, but Crusader's Astra is a whole lot stronger. This is a 2 cooldown unique special, and it still has the same 40% speed damage boost as regular Astra. New effects, this is a DR piercing special. Before her first attack, and before each of her follow-up attacks, Ayra will get -1 instant cooldown. When Crusader's Astra procs on follow-ups, Ayra also prevents defensive specials from activating. Last, if any special is ready or has triggered, Ayra gets 40% unpierceable damage reduction for the next attack. From her last ult, Ayra could pop back-to-back specials without getting hit. Well, this time she can pop triple Crusader's Astras back-to-back-to-back. Potent follow-ups are considered follow-up attacks for the sake of effects like the specials -1 instant cooldown. This means Ayra gets -1 cooldown 3 times for her 3 attacks, assuming Potent activates. Now, what really makes this special stand out is that Legendary Ayra will be one of the few units in the game that disables defensive specials. Her first attack will not stop them, but her second regular follow-up and then the potent follow-up will not get blocked. If you try to tank Ayra with something like Shield Fighter, you either take her out on the counter or you gotta survive 2 Crusader's Astras with full DR piercing without the absurd 75% damage reduction. Now, if you didn't like Harmonic Ayra because she was on a horse, well, this Ayra also gets 3 movement and Kanto thanks to her new Brutal Tempest C skill. This is essentially an Endless Tempest side grade. Each turn you get +1 movement. You can still get +3 to all stats based on spaces moved by the initiator. Instead of neutralizing the foe's field buffs though, Brutal Tempest grants Kanto distance +1. This isn't Kanto 1 or 2, this is potentially Kanto 3 and 4 if you initiate from long range. This is basically like having Sigurd's Ring for melee infantry and flyers. If you don't mind losing the buff neutralization, Brutal Tempest is hilarious for the extra huge Kanto potential. Definitely keep an eye on this skill if you don't have Kanto control. Overall, Legendary Ayra won't have Felix's absurd extra actions, but you can see the similarities in their kits. Super fast, unpierceable percent DR with 2 flat DR sources that can stack fairly high, and of course Ayra has 3 movement, which should always be respected. You can definitely take Ayra out with some strong counterattacks or reaching her first, but if you don't outspeed her, she primes 3 specials, stacking a lot of true damage and is able to neutralize defensive specials for 2 of her 3 attacks. If she survives, she potentially retreats very far away, and then Speed Taker ups her speed even higher. We get new Swordmasters all the time, but depending on the devs, Ayra could carve a niche with her potent follow-up support. Similar to the new Marissa and her Brave Attack effect, these are new ways to get extra attacks. Do note, Ayra does not have enough follow-up herself, so as always, try to get that for her. Coming with Ayra from a completely different game is Mythic Athos. Drawn by Ipe, Athos is finally here to drop some magical bombs. He will be a bloom through mage, and we didn't see his stats, but Athos almost certainly is going to be a slow mage with very high attack and res. He is the first anima defense mythic with the new Calling Circle ability. If you want the reinforcements for your defense team, then you kinda have to get Athos, or you risk waiting a long time till the next anima option releases. For old skills, Athos has attack and res Discord for debuffing grouped up foes. He also comes with runes Pulse Up Ploy. Free cooldown every turn with hefty debuffing means Athos is going to have some hard hitting attacks. First weapon, Athos has Blessed Aureola. Hit for allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, Athos grants them +5 attack, defense, and res. If they use an offensive special, they get -1 instant cooldown before their first attack. If the ally also cannot follow up or does not have brave attacks, then Athos grants an additional -1 instant cooldown. For himself, this is a 14 might slang tome with effectiveness against mages. If there is an ally within 3 rows or columns, Athos gets bonus attack, defense, and res equal to 5 plus 20% of his flat res. He will get true damage and flat DR equal to 20% res in combat, and like his support ability, Athos gets -1 instant cooldown before his first attack. Now, if the enemy is a mage, Athos gets an extra +10 attack. He also just gets Vantage against them. Like Guinevere, Athos is an anti-mage mage, although he takes that specialization a little further with +10 attack and Vantage on top the effective damage. He will get lots of cooldown for his probably 1 attack, and Athos shares instant cooldown with allies similar to Thor's remixed Worldbreaker. We didn't see it in the trailer, but Athos appears to grant another -1 cooldown if an ally only hits once. I know the description says follow-ups and brave attacks, but this is probably an unclear translation. The potent follow-ups have the same wording, and that's been proven to be either or for the past year. Basically, Athos only gives -2 instant cooldown if your ally literally only attacks 1 time. For his unique A skill, Athos has Beyond Reason. This skill grants a flat +10 attack, defense, and res. If foe initiates combat and has more than 75% HP, Athos gets 2 stat boost. First, gain bonus attack, defense, and res equal to 2 times the number of negative status effects active on the foe and foes within 3 rows or 3 columns. If those foes have 6 total negative statuses, Athos can get +12 attack, defense, and res. In addition, Athos has attack, defense, res unity, meaning he'll turn around stat debuffs in his favor. For other effects, this skill neutralizes the foe's attack and res field boss, and Athos heals 7 HP after combat. He also gets % damage reduction for first attacks with an S equal to 80% if the foe can make a follow-up. If they cannot, then it's only 40%. Beyond Reason gives flat resistance for Athos' 2 res check and debuffing skills. Athos will inflict 3 statuses with his base kit, but this effect checks the total amount of statuses on foes in range. That means 2 enemies hit by those 3 debuffs will give Athos +12 stats. You then got Unity for everything except speed. Legendary Male Robin is on this banner, so you can combo this with Grand Strategy. Even though Grand Strategy is countered by the ploy status, Athos may just outres enemy ploy users. If that's the case, you really need to watch out from double Unity stacking. Now for his other combative effects, Athos has low attack and res, and while not entirely the same, he has similar % DR equal to Weaving or Canny Fighter. Even though unpierceable % damage reduction is very strong, if you don't bring regular DR piercing, then you're just not going to kill a unit with 80% damage reduction. Athos will get doubled a lot though, and this % DR only works for first attacks. To try and end combat before getting doubled, Athos brings a new inheritable special called Frost Moon. This is a 4 cooldown special for all mages. The damage is 70% of units res, and this is indeed the DR piercing special for mages. For its other effect, if unit cannot make a follow-up or does not have brave attacks, you grant -1 instant cooldown before their first attack. Frost Moon is a weaker Glacius special, like Athos' cooldown support. For units who only hit 1 time, they get -1 instant cooldown from this skill. I have to assume Arcane Troopfire and Blood Gang had the special in mind because both tomes have slaying with -1 instant cooldown. If you have a very slow mage, with Frost Moon you will get -3 cooldown total. With Emblem Marth or Time's Pulse, you could fire Frost Moon immediately. Something to keep in mind is that for bulky Lagu's Friend mages, the special is kind of redundant. It's weaker Glacies, and Lagu's Friend already gives DR piercing. The advantage for Frost Moon is that the -1 instant cooldown could offset an enemy scout effect. However, this only works if you don't follow up or you have brave hits. Be careful of this condition before handing Frost Moon out to everyone. This also goes for mage counts and flyers. They still do not have cooldown options really. Unlike imagery who can run things like pulse type skills, you literally just have heavy blade, and if you're planning to double, then you're not going to get the cooldown from Frostmoon anyway. For the speedy mage cams or flyers, Resonance will probably still be the better tier piercing method. Of course, if you have a very slow mage with Arcane Truthfire or Bloodgain, the cooldown issues are a lot easier to manage if you just want an instant Glacius type nuke. You can also stack on Athos's potential -2 cooldown effect, and there's Emblem's pre-on pulse status as well. As usual, you gotta watch out for enemy scout effects. The cooldown wars are gonna be continuing getting more and more ridiculous. When it comes to Athos himself, his slaying puts Frostmoon on 3 cooldown. With Pulse Deploy, this goes to 2 cooldown each turn. From his weapon, Athos gets -1 instant cooldown. Assuming he only hits 1 time, Frostmoon gives another -1 instant cooldown. All of this means Athos pops Frostmoon immediately. Any extra cooldown or just waiting with Pulse Up doing its thing means Athos can counteract more and more scout effects. Against enemy mages, he has advantage, effective damage, and an extra +10 attack on top of his already impressive attack boost. Mages typically don't have unpierceable %DR, so Athos is going to be a very formidable anti-mage mage. Now regarding support abilities, Athos has Attack from his Discord and Ploy plus exposure statuses. For allies, Athos can provide instant cooldown, and for allies who only hit once, he gives -2 cooldown. This could be useful against scout abilities. Now since his range extends across the map, Athos can also support initiators to pop specials faster. I'm not sure how tanky Athos will actually feel, but the guy has so many stat buffs. His % damage reduction only works for first attacks, and he's going to get doubled a lot, but Athos has like 4 different stat boosters from his weapon and A skill. Unity is a pretty nice effect to have baked in as well. If you want, you could run something like Flare for more healing, and the Goose Friend would offer more flat DR. There is also Nelsie Disrupt if you don't want those Discord debuffs. Overall, Mythic Athos will be a must grab if you do want to use that new Calling Circle for Anima Season. If you hate enemy mages, Athos could be fun to vantage them with effective damage. It does make you wonder if Nurgo's rerun at the same time is intentional or maybe just a funny coincidence. Moving on to the 10 other heroes on the banner, joining Ayra in red is Mythic Nidhoggr and Rearmed Marianne. Blue has Athos, Emblem Celica, and Attuned Timerra. Green has legendary male Robin, Ashe, and Fogado. Last for Colorless, we have Laeradr, Gullveig, and legendary male Alear. For Ayra's fodder, Speed Taker is barely a month old. Might not be for every high speed unit, but it's got some good effects plus the great talent stacking. If you can get Attack and Speed Clash 3, you can pair that with Excel, or if you can get Otter Even Tempest, then Ayra can pass on the new Brutal Tempest. Brutal Tempest with Excel is also a pretty good initiation combo. Now, I feel like I don't really need to go over Mythic Nidhoggr too much, barely 2 months old, and her New Year's ult does very similar things. This Astro Mythic is an armored beast far savior who has the unique dosage status, which wards off status stealing effects. Nidhoggr inflicts a lot of instant damage, which he then uses to get more flat DR. With Sturdy Breeze's % DR and Slick Fighter 4 adding more flat DR based on defense, the Snake Lady is not really going to go anywhere for the rest of 2025 anytime soon. Fodder-wise, Sturdy Beast is excellent for bulky beast, while Slick Fighter and Twin Save are great for more aggressive armors. Our last red unit is Rearmed Marianne. She's a flying red mage with good attack and res and can get some decent amounts of speed. As a reminder, Arcane Bloodgain is a red tome, not a sword. It has Slaying, -1 instant cooldown, true damage based on attack, 7 flat DR, and no guard. Not bad for Frostmoon on slower mages. For Marianne though, she has Requiem Prayer, which gives some % DR and then triggers Kanto with Shadow Dance after activating. Marianne can dish out damage and then refresh an ally. For extra support, she has Speed and Res Discord debuffs and Speed and Res Crux for follow-up support. Crystalline Water is used for the flat res stacking. If you didn't want to get the new Ayra, very good company in this red group. For blue, we start with Athos. He has new rare skills since Attack from his Discord just came with dual Hate Throne and Pulse Deploy was on Rune. If you can get times +3 fodder, you can get Pulse Up, Discord, and Frostmoon all at once. All of these skills work nicely, especially if it's a high res mage not really investing in speed. For Emblem Celica, she's basically the opposite of Athos. Glass Cannon, pure attack and speed with Desperation. She gets -1 instant cut up before follow-up attack. Since her special has a times pulse effect though, Celica can proc 2 Warp Ragnaroks back to back. She has Infantry No Follow to double, and then Resonance can provide DR Piercing at the cost of HP. With Verge of Death, Celica is very squishy, but she has immense warp range to reach unsuspecting foes. Her Emblem Ring also provides similar warp initiations. Great for a unit like the new Ayra, and could be really great with that new Brutal Tempest. Our third blue unit is Attuned Timerra. She's unique lance infantry with awful attack in favor of high speed and defense, and a little more res than usual. Timerra's gimmick is that her Sandstorm special uses 150% of her defense stat when calculating damage. It also grants unpierced % DR and has a frozen effect. From her weapon, she has Distant Counter, Bulwark, and offers 10 flat DR to allies against specials. For fodder, Timerra has some of the best skills from the past year with the Goose Friend, Breath of Life 4, and the new Time Spell's Echo. This can help charge up that new Frost Moon from Athos. Last, Timerra is the only unit with the Tier 4 Speed and Defense finish. We keep getting free-to-play friendly sources of the Tier 3. All in all, blue is another great group if you did want the new Mythic hero. For the green group, the one limited unit here is legendary male Robin. He's a bit old, but this Robin is a heavy stat-focused mage who gives grand strategy to allies. That is a unity effect, and Robin purposely debuffs his own team to activate unity. Similar to Athos, Robin has a built-in unity on his A skill to double up. Very fun strategy, but it is susceptible to deploy status. For the effects, Robin has Steel Attack 4, which can inflict debuffs and grant guard. He then has Conduct Control 3. Next is Ashe, a green bow cav with great attack and speed. Ashe's Just Bow provides long-range scowl for initiating, which can offset one of Athos's instant cooldown effects. For Ashe, he will get his own -1 instant cooldown, and then with Slang, he can proc Curved Shot, which will get full DR piercing. Ashe also has the scowl effect for himself. For his fodder, Ashe has Flared Sparrow for the instant damage plus flame tiles. He has Still Speed and Defense 3. I think they're better than the single stat tier 4 sealed B skills, but unless you don't need other effects, these B skills are still fairly underwhelming. Last, Ashe will have Oddspeed Wave 4 for the speed buffs and self no follow. Now, the third green unit here is another green bow cav. Fogado is a strong offensive archer who does one better than Ashe's scout. If initiating or facing a ranged foe, Fogado denies all of the enemy special activations. Insanely powerful effect because he pairs this with 70% damage reduction and reflected damage counterattacks. Fogado also has 50% TR piercing and no follow-up. Fogado is a very cool unit who kinda just gets to ignore any and all specials, offensive or defensive. Powerful niche against DR piercing specials like the new Frost Moon. For other skills, Fogado also comes with Flared Sparrow. He then has Speed and Defense 4 Trace 4 for Kanto. Generally speaking, not the best group with 2 permanent units here, though each of these units do have some rare abilities for themselves. In Colorless, Laeradr is back, still fairly new like Nidhoggr. He's a beast armor who inflicts tons of debuffs and assigns decoy onto the low defense foes. Laeradr makes unwanted enemies tank attacks via Savior. You need to be careful if you plan to tank against him. For the effects, Laeradr gets instant cooldown before the foe attacks. This can charge Armored Flow, and he gets extra flat DR against specials. He also has a free follow-up with DR piercing specials to retaliate with. For fodder, Attacker Misfortune and Barricade are both very new. Fortune makes it easier for Beast to transform, and Barricade is a warp bubble skill for Beasts and Dragons. It provides stat buffs, but be aware, Nir's Nidhoggr brought Higher Ground, which has the same warp bubble effect, and it just has far save. Next up is Mythic Gullveig, who is a speedy mage cav reliant on 70% DR to stay alive. If Gullveig can live, she can get multiple extra actions from her weapon and special. This can help her spread Flared Sparrow's flame tiles and then add more instant damage via Cultist's Strike. If allies are close enough, Defensive Smoke will offer Pathfinder to follow up. It's a dangerous unit if not dealt with quickly, but very vulnerable if any DR piercing is in play. Our last unit is legendary male Alear. His new Winter Dual ult has the exact same Miracle A skill and generally other similar effects. Alear has Scowl, Distant Counter, Dual Phase Brave Hits, 50% DR piercing, and the full heal with Miracle effect if near a lot of allies. This version has Spinner's Bulwark for % DR and healing. The dual ult has Spiked Wall. Both of them have Dragon's Roar if you want unpierceable % damage reduction. Last skill for this ult is Attack and Speed Pledge. It's a very nice self-buffing cooldown perk. Another January, another very random but fun monthly banner. Legendary Ayra continues to raise questions of if an FE4 remake is actually happening, and then Athos finally makes his way into Fae. Some reminders that the anniversary is coming on February 2nd, Choose Your Legends is over, so we're going to get the results then, and then we'll shortly be getting into A Hero Rises. I could very well see some of these units being in the top 8. Personally, I've been summoning non-stop the past 2 months. I need to skip a couple banners, but that won't stop me from wishing for a free Athos. Good luck on your own summons though. We have a lot to talk about shortly, and expect a Fae channel for the anniversary. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.